in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Happy International Women's Day! It's Friday, March 8th. My name is Katie Donninger.
And I'm Joanne Libet, and today you're watching another episode of
Watching Washington. President Joe Biden delivered his third State of the Union address and fourth address to Congress Thursday night, the high-stakes speech coming as the president faces re-election.
In his speech, Biden defended his record and touted what he hopes to continue accomplishing. CNN's Jen Sullivan recaps his address and the Republican response.
President Joe Biden addressing the nation Thursday. His State of the Union address coming at a pivotal moment for his presidency, highlighting his accomplishments and laying out his plans for what he hopes to accomplish if elected for another 4 years.
The state of our union is strong and getting stronger.
Thursday's speech comes at a tumultuous time, both domestically and internationally. Americans grappling with high inflation.
I want to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down, to put toward their mortgages when they buy their first home.
Issues surrounding women's health and the right to an abortion dividing many voters.
If you, the American people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again.
Biden also addressing the harsh criticism his administration has faced in regards to immigration.
I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country.
But the turmoil overseas taking center stage Thursday. Israel-Hamas war causing rifts here at home as many Americans worry the president isn't doing enough to send humanitarian aid to Gaza. Biden using Thursday's address to make a major announcement.
I'm directing the U.S. military to lead an emergency mission to establish a temporary pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza that can receive large shipments carrying food, water, medicine, and temporary shelter.
Following his address, Alabama Senator Katie Britt delivering the Republican response from her home, criticizing Biden and calling for change.
Hardworking families are struggling to make ends meet today. And with soaring mortgage rates and sky-high childcare costs, they're also struggling to how to plan for tomorrow. The American people are scraping by.
I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Thank you, Jen. More than 6 in 10 Americans who watched President Biden's State of the Union address had a positive reaction to the speech. That's according to a CNN poll conducted by SSRS, a Pennsylvania-based research firm. The poll was conducted by text message with 529 U.S. adults who said they watched the speech.
Tuesday was a busy night in the 2024 presidential election season. More than a dozen states voted in their presidential primaries. Millions of people went to the polls to have their voices heard. It was a big win for former President Donald Trump and President Joe Biden. Shortly after polls closed, they were both projected winners in several states, including North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. The former president has established a commanding lead in the delegate count. His primary opponent, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, secured a projected win in Vermont, but it's not likely she'll be able to get the support needed to slow Trump's march to the nomination. Biden didn't face any major competition, but he was dealt a blow in U.S. territory America Samoa, where he's projected to lose the primary to entrepreneur and investor Jason Palmer. Both sides are preparing and ready for the rematch between Trump and Biden. Trump explained, quote, "If we lose the election, we won't have a country left." Biden released a statement saying voters are ready to fight back against Trump's extreme plan to take the U.S. backwards.
Just Wednesday morning, Nikki Haley suspended her campaign for the 2024 election, leaving former President Donald Trump as the probable Republican nominee. Haley's withdrawal, occurring just 51 days after the Iowa caucus, marks 2024 as one of the swiftest narrowing processes. As of Tuesday, Donald Trump has won more than 90% of the delegates since Iowa, claiming 1,040 of the necessary 1,215 delegates. Here is Haley's final say on her campaign.
Just over a year ago, I launched my campaign for president. When I began, I said the campaign was grounded in my love for our country. Just last week, my mother, a first-generation immigrant, got to vote for her daughter for president. Only in America. I am filled with the gratitude for the outpouring of support we've received from all across our great country. But the time has now come to suspend my campaign.
Nikki Haley stated she would not endorse Trump, but she did state, "I congratulate him and wish him well. I wish anyone who would be America's president."
On Monday, all 9 justices unanimously agreed to reverse a Colorado decision and allowed Trump to be on the ballot. The court ruled that Colorado could not remove Trump from the ballot under the Constitution's ban on insurrectionists serving in office. The justices warned that allowing states to make different decisions about ballot eligibility would create chaos around the elections. In response to Monday's ruling, Maine's top election official formally restored Trump's spot on the ballot, as well as Illinois. Trump responded at his Mar-a-Lago resort on Monday, stating that President Biden was weaponizing the Justice Department against him without offering any evidence.
The Associated Press projects Californian Democratic Representative Adam Schiff will face former baseball player Republican Steve Garvey in a general election runoff for California's open Senate seat.
But you had my back every step of the way. Every step of the way. You helped us build the biggest grassroots campaign for Senate in California history, and I cannot thank you enough.
Welcome to the California comeback. What you are all feeling tonight is what it's like to hit a walk-off home run. Kind of like San Diego in '84.
California, a top 2 primary system in which all candidates, regardless of party affiliation, appear on the same ballot, and the top 2 vote-getters advance to the general election in the fall. Political reports that as of February 29th, a record of $65.3 million has been spent in the race, the most in the state's history. 2 other well-known Democratic members of Congress representatives, Katie Porter and Representative Barbara Lee, were also seeking the open seat.
Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema will not be running again for the Senate. Sinema has served in Arizona since 2019, but the independent senator announced on Tuesday that she will be leaving the Senate at the end of her term, which will officially end on January 3, 2025. Sinema is one of only 3 independents in the Senate. All 3 independents' terms will end after 2024. In her announcement on Tuesday, Sinema expressed her concerns regarding the 2-party system.
Despite modernizing our infrastructure, ensuring clean water, delivering good jobs and safer communities, Americans still choose to retreat farther to their partisan corners. These solutions are considered failures, either because they're too much or not nearly enough. It's all or nothing. The outcome, less important than beating the other guy. The only political victories that matter these days are symbolic. Attacking your opponents on cable news or social media. Compromise is a dirty word. I believe in my approach, but it's not what America wants right now. I love Arizona, and I am so proud of what we've delivered. Because I choose civility, understanding, listening, working together to get stuff done, I will leave the Senate at the end of this year.
More news on the Alabama IVF decision. Alabama lawmakers finalized the legislation late Wednesday night, just weeks after the Alabama Supreme Court ruled that frozen embryos are people and individuals could be held liable for destroying them. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey has signed a bill to protect providers and patients. This bill will protect those doing in vitro fertilization from legal liability if embryos they create are damaged or destroyed. Many providers who halted IVF treatments with the first ruling are now preparing to resume treatments. State Representative Terry Collins stated, quote, "This is our best solution to help the families that are in the middle of that process continue their process." Although this topic will continue to be debated, Alabama stands confident in this decision.
Up next, information on abortion access in France.
Plus, an update on the Russia and Ukraine war. Stay with us more, Watching Washington, next.
I mean, every year's different, but it hasn't changed that much. Our league is just ominous, and you better lace them up tight and be ready to play every night. If not, you're going to get beat.
In France, lawmakers have held a historic vote on abortion rights. At a special gathering at the Palace of Versailles, abortion access is now enshrined in the country's constitution. The amendment passed with a 780 to 72 majority. President Emmanuel Macron announced there will be a formal celebration today on International Women's Day. It was the culmination of an effort that began in direct response to the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. France legalized abortion in 1975, and since then, abortion has not been a decisive issue. According to CNN, most of the lawmakers who voted against the amendment did so because they believed it to be unnecessary, not because they were against abortion. Macron called the vote a French pride and universal message.
The UN Human Rights Chief says time is running out to prevent Haiti from descending into further chaos. The U.S. is calling on Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry to move urgently to establish a presidential transitional council that will lead to elections. The capital city of Port-au-Prince has been hit with a wave of coordinated gang attacks on police stations and government buildings. Gangs have released thousands of inmates from 2 prisons in an attempt to overthrow Minister Henry's government. CNN Patrick Oapman reports.
The ongoing violence in Haiti showed no signs of subsiding as Prime Minister Ariel Henry remained in Puerto Rico, apparently unable to return home. Henry had been in Kenya over the weekend negotiating an agreement that would allow Kenyan soldiers, about 1,000 Kenyan soldiers and police officers, to travel to Haiti to fight the out-of-control gang violence there when some of these gangs appeared to band together to take on the government and call for the prime minister to step down. One gang leader promising genocide and civil war, in his words, if Henry did not step down as prime minister of Haiti. Henry had attempted to go to the Dominican Republic, which borders Haiti, but was not permitted by the government to do that. The U.S. government says it is not calling on Henry to step down, but rather to begin a transition that would allow for elections to take place in Haiti. That is something that Henri has resisted in the past, saying that the security situation in Haiti did not allow for that. And it's unclear how, with the worsening violence, any kind of presidential election could be held. At this point, the UN Security Council met on Wednesday, but at this point, the preferred solution is for those Kenyan troops to travel to Haiti, but it's unclear when that could take place and who would be footing the bill. At this point, though, for the thousands of Haitians who remain in the midst of this strife, in the middle of an ongoing gang war with the government, it's unclear when any kind of relief or any kind of help will be arriving. Patrick Ottman, CNN Havana.
According to CNN, a Russian missile exploded close to a convoy carrying Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis during a deadly attack on the Black Sea port city of Odessa on Wednesday. The group felt the impact of the strike and saw a mushroom cloud of smoke. According to a source familiar with the situation, who put the location of the strike around 500 meters from the convoy. 5 people were killed in the strike and more were wounded. A spokesperson from the Ukrainian Navy, Dmytro Plenchuk, told CNN though neither Zelensky or Mitsotakis were injured. Zelensky frequently makes high-risk trips to the front lines and has welcomed dozens of world leaders to Ukraine over more than 2 years of war with Russia. But Wednesday's attack may represent one of the closest calls for the president. The strike's proximity to Mitsotakis, the leader of a NATO member state, also underlines the dangers of such visits and potential global repercussions for the conflict.
At least 3 crew members aboard a commercial ship off the coast of Yemen were killed by a missile Wednesday. It was launched by the Houthis, a militant group backed by Iran. The group claimed the Barbados-flagged, Liberian-owned bulk carrier ignored warnings from Yemen's navy. There have been dozens of Houthi attacks in the area since the Hamas attack in Israel spurred fighting in Gaza. Until now, U.S. and coalition forces have intercepted those drone and missile attacks, or they have landed in the water. The U.S. and U.K. have carried out 4 rounds of strikes against Houthi targets in Yemen this year. They've knocked out weapon caches, but the group has still managed to fortify its weapon stockpile. It has vowed not to stop attacks in the Red Sea until Israel stops fighting the Palestinians. Yemen is also home to what the United Nations Refugee Agency calls the worst humanitarian crisis in the world. Fighting there has driven more than 4.5 million people from their homes.
Up next, we're bringing you an exclusive discussion panel on the 2024 presidential election.
The full interview just ahead on Watching Washington.
Imagine a world where Olympics and Paralympics are unified as one, and where all athletes at all levels have equal opportunities to play and perform at their full potential.
Athletics has been such an influential and transformative aspect of my life. So to me, RISE is about ensuring that every person that has the desire to participate in sport has the opportunity to do so.
This organization is about recognition. We believe in recognizing excellence where it is found, especially in Paralympic sports.
RISE is about driving change in our community and beyond. We hope that through our events and initiatives, we can galvanize people for our cause and inspire them to create an ever-growing network to help achieve our mission.
It's about connecting people of various backgrounds and who truly care about creating meaningful change together.
We develop projects and hold events to bring people together at the interface of inclusivity, sports, and engineering.
Our goal is to promote the equality of all sports and to improve sports performance and accessibility.
Join us so that you can have a major contribution in creating meaningful change.
Today, our interview segment will look a little different. A few of my fellow students in this class, including anchor Katie Doninger, will host a discussion panel on the 2024 presidential election. Let's go now to Watching Washington's Jordan Smith, who is standing by with this week's panelists.
Thank you, Joanne. That's right. I've got Purdue students with me today to discuss the topic of the 2024 presidential election. Thank you all for being here. And my first question is, now that the field has narrowed and bearing any major developments in the 2024 presidential election, it looks like it's going to be a rematch between President Biden and former President Trump. How do you all feel about that?
I mean, I'll take that one first. Me personally, not too thrilled. I feel like as a college student, I don't really identify with either one of them. One is a billionaire in his 70s. The other is, I think he just turned 80. So they're older men. I don't think that I don't see myself in them really at all. And I don't see either one of those candidates as a good representation of the values that I stand for, the morals that I stand for. So I think it's a bit frustrating sitting back and watching the two parties pretty much narrow in on nominating these two again. At least for me, I'm not too happy about it.
I would agree. I feel like we're reliving 2020, and that ended so well. So there's so many similarities between this year and 2020. I don't like where it's going. And I really think that we just need new people, just start over in the office. Just more people especially who are younger and can understand a bigger part of the population rather than two basically 80-year-old white straight men. So I just think that in order to better represent the U.S. population, we need new people, and it can't be the same people it's been for the past 30 years.
I think piggybacking off of that too, we're at a time of massive major division in this country, and it's that saying, how the saying goes, where you try the same thing twice but expect a different result when it doesn't work the first time. I think that's where we're at, and we keep trying the same thing over and over and over again. We're at this point where there's such a political divide in this country, yet neither party is stepping up to provide, I guess, a moderate candidate or in general a candidate that people around the country can unite around regardless of party identification, and really help our situation out in terms of a political divide.
I would contend with the assertion that the demographic background of the candidates had anything to do with their particular merits. I think definitely there's different, different traits which makes them more amiable to the American public. With respect to Trump particularly, he's accrued a very loyal base, especially even despite the amount of charges that have been racked against him in these past few years.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, no matter who actually wins, I just hopefully nobody get hurt. That's kind of the end of the story. People a lot of times they dehumanize people that have different opinion with them, or they come from different cultural background. But we're same people. No matter what you believe, I just don't want anybody to get hurt. That's it.
So we're all most of us are agreeing that the qualities that these candidates are putting out aren't really something that we're all looking for or something that we kind of want to change. So what qualities are you all looking for, or in your opinion, the most important for a presidential candidate?
I'd say somebody that uses words as, I guess, a powerful means to unite. I mean, for me, that's one of the biggest issues, right? I'm watching, and I'm somebody that had really seriously considered going into public service, and I still do, but I'm deterred from that a little bit when I watch what goes on in Washington, even at the state level at times, although I really like our local governments here, and I think we have a good state government in the state of Indiana. But I think that the way the system has worked and the people in power now, they're using words that rile bases, right? Like Sam talked about. Trump has a loyal fan base. Well, not fan base, but a loyal following. because he uses words as powerful means to anger, to rile up. And that's one way to do it. He certainly got a lot of votes, and he's struck fear into people. He's struck anger into people. I think for me, I want a calm, moderate voice that is going to inspire this country to come back together a little bit.
I think that for a candidate, their rhetoric has to be substantiated by will to power. What criticisms I have of Trump in his administration was he talked a lot, and with regard to his prospects and ideals for the country, such as the border wall, but a lot of those never really manifested because he was either curtailed by people he placed within his own administration that impeded him, or he just didn't care enough. And so I think what the American people are looking for and are hoping for with Trump is that he actually enacts what policies he's trying to catalyze or foment.
I would agree. I think that if, in order for a candidate, there's a lot of talk, a lot of words. I watch the debates and people say things, but nothing happens really. Like maybe some very little bit of change is enacted, and that's not necessarily always the president's fault, because if the Congress isn't on your side, then you're not going to be able to do much. But I think a good quality in a president is the ability to put your what's the phrase I'm looking to put your money where your mouth is, and just kind of like do what you actually say you're going to do, and not just like say things to get people on your side, and to be willing to cross the aisle and convince people in Congress or the Senate to agree with you and actually do things.
Yeah, definitely following on that, I think it's really important for me. It's really important for the leaders to realize how much power they have. I mean, of course, theoretically, they do know what they can control, but they need to be like fully aware of all the, I would say, consequence of the decision that they make. It could, like one decision they make, like one sign they have in their office could be like related to like 100,000 people's life. So I think it's really important for them to just knowing what they're doing.
So we all kind of agree that we want our future candidate to kind of speak to and kind of follow through with the issues that they're speaking to in their campaigns. But what are some of those issues that you worry about, or that you want them to follow through with, or something that's super important to you right now that you kind of want to see change or go forth as we elect a new president?
I think one of the main issues that keeps me up at night is women's rights, especially the overturning of Roe v. Wade. I think it's really important that we are able to reestablish Roe v. Wade, because I remember when it was overturned, every single woman I know was crying, talking to each other because they weren't given the option to choose anymore. And I just think that it needs to be something that happens again, and I want that, and I know that it will be a big thing in this upcoming presidential election, and I think it's really important.
What's an important thing for me, and I think the United States as a whole, is that, and this is on a similar note to what she's talking about, is that the fertility rate of our nation is rapidly decreasing, especially as we experience modernization, and I don't know, people are becoming more alienated from each other, the sexes, whatever have you. But I mean, there is a there is a need for young workers in our country to both sustain the economy, and also a disproportionately older population which no longer works and also is needing to derive more from Social Security benefits, welfare, etc. And so but our current solution is to, it really, as it would seem, and the rhetoric among many major politicians, is that we need to import migrants. But the long-term implications of that are unforeseen. It is, I think, akin to drinking seawater to quench thirst.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of both of you, I think one of my biggest issues, I think it's become pretty obvious throughout the course of this panel, doesn't have anything to do with policy. I think where we're at right now, I just want to see somebody that can unite. And honestly, policy to me right now, just gauging where we're at as a country, obviously I want their morals to be in line with mine as much as possible, but I want them to, I guess, have a calling card to this country like, hey, we're all human beings here. We're all on the same team, and we've gotten so into red and blue, Republican versus Democrat, that I really think that we've lost sight of that.
Yeah, for me, I don't have anything like politically to like right across my mind, but I would definitely say the first thing I came up with is medical care. As someone that I didn't grow up in the United States, the health system I hear just doesn't really make sense for me, and I think there's definitely a lot of room to improve. It's kind of a little bit messed up, at least for me. So yeah, if anybody like would make some change or make some improvement on this thing, I think it's really important because people always get sick. Like, in the end of the day, you're gonna see a doctor in your life, so you don't want to pay that $5,000 bill just for like one shot or something. It just doesn't make sense for me.
I would agree with that. It also kind of ties in with the immigration issue as well, wherein we are producing much less doctors as we are importing them nowadays, and also the issue with regulation, or rather over-regulation within the healthcare industry. The U.S. spends more on healthcare than any other country proportionally, even though we have a private healthcare system. So very clearly it is inefficient. But, however, that is not to, to undermine the benefits of a private healthcare system. My father, who has multiple sclerosis, is pretty much alive today because of the unique openness of the healthcare system in the United States. However, for many Americans, it's a very difficult industry to maneuver around, especially with regard to the amount of, again, regulation and insurance roundabout ways you have to get in order to access healthcare to begin with.
Yeah, so as we can see here, politics can be very divisive from different issues that we care about in Washington, among friends, among classmates. So how do you feel about the political climate, both with our U.S. elected leaders and kind of in your daily life? And if you see it online, where do you see it most?
I mean, just scrolling through any political news, you go to the Twitter comments, it's all over. I think the big thing for me is we've lost the ability to even have a conversation in this country. We're so hell-bent on pushing our issues and not even our issues. I think that in this country, at least talking to my grandparents, you know, you used to align your party, you used to choose your party based on your values. And now it seems like we're kind of choosing our agendas, our personal beliefs, our morals based on our party's beliefs. And I think it's flip-flop there, and we are ride or die whatever party affiliation or registration that we have. And I think that needs to change. Point blank, on Capitol Hill, that needs to change, and among citizens that needs to change, because we're not going to get anywhere. We're going to get at standstill. I think that it's always going to be close margins, at least for the foreseeable future on Capitol Hill. And, you know, if we can't have a conversation, if we can't progress, if we can't move forward in a bipartisan manner, we're not going to get anywhere. So an ability to have a conversation for me is something that especially for a next president, I want to see out of them, and I want to see somebody that's going to encourage that.
Yeah, definitely. That's the other thing I've always think about. Like, we're all human beings. It's really natural to have like really different perspective to seeing one thing. For example, like you could be like pro, like let's say I'm trying to find like an example for it. Probably like you really support the woman to get the right to get abortion, but at the same time it doesn't automatically like. So I believe that was fall to the Democrat Party. It doesn't have to be like really believe in other idea that the Democrat Party came up with. You can't just like say people, oh, so you're a Democrat, so you're like definitely agree with like a certain thing. It just doesn't make sense.
I think what contributes to this polarization is that very rapidly in the past few decades, what it means to be American and what the baseline is for what an American is or how they should conduct themselves is kind of lost to the American mind, and it's apparent in that people are identifying more with their political faction than they are with being a citizen of this country. But what really can they do if there's no substance to being an American?
I think it's important that we have the ability to have a conversation. However, there are some things that I believe in that I won't compromise on, and if someone agrees with, like, for example, I am a proud queer person. If someone I meet fundamentally disagrees with me being queer and thinks it's a choice or something, I'm not going to have a conversation with them because there's no way that I'm going to change their mind by my own existence. And as someone who grew up dealing with that, it's not worth it. So I understand the ability to have a conversation, but sometimes, like things like with human rights, it's fundamentally impossible to have a conversation with someone who fundamentally disagrees with you sometimes. And I feel like it's okay to not have a conversation about it, you know?
Yeah, so kind of switching gears with the, election coming up in November, and, most of us are not really happy with what the presidential elections are or our candidates. If you can vote, will you, and what kind of obstacles are there to voting, and what will get you to the ballot to cast your vote if there is any?
I know for me specifically, I think voting is the most important thing you can do for this country, and honestly it is frankly un-American not to vote. That is my opinion. I think as an American citizen, it is our privilege and right to vote, and I think that everyone should, and I don't understand why people don't. But this is my first presidential election that I get to vote in. I'm actually really excited about it, so I want to go vote. It's fun. It's the thing I've been waiting to do since I was 6 and understood what politics were. But I think it's important that you go vote, and I just think everyone should go vote. That is my opinion, and I will be there when I can. I'm gonna vote here, so I have to find my polling place and go. But that's what I'll be doing.
Excited about the opportunity, not thrilled about the choices. I think that's where I'm at. Absolutely, I'm going to vote. I do any election, whether that be in a local election or a presidential general election. I think it's just like Katie said, it's important. That is your opportunity to directly affect the decisions that are made on your behalf in Washington and in here at home. And whether you are ride or die for any one candidate, that's your opportunity to vote for the people that most closely align with you and most closely have your interests in mind. So absolutely, I will be voting. And though I'm not thrilled about the likely options, the likely candidates in the general election, I will absolutely be going to the polls.
Yeah, for me, I'm an international student, so I won't vote anyway. But if I get the chance to vote, I would say 80% likely to vote, as long as somebody comes up with something that could really help me. I'm pretty realistic on this. If I know this person's policy going to help me, I will vote for him, or she, or her, whatever they believe they are. But if not, I probably won't vote if I can't find anybody sign for me.
I don't think that voting is a particularly effective means by which, how do I say, for a people to enact its political will. Very clearly in society, there is a distinct elite and/or stratus which determines how politics are oriented and how society, the trajectory of society. However, it's still we are in a democracy, right? So it's a matter of what political candidate has the most funding and how much institutional power they can accrue, which is really why Donald Trump, I think, is incredibly unique in that he has very little institutional power, and what voter base he has assembled has been resultant of his his social capital instead of institutional or monetary capital also, but less so the traditional means.
So yeah, hopefully I will see you all at the polls this November, but I want to thank all my classmates for being here on this panel to discuss the 2024 presidential election. And I am Jordan Smith, and I'm going to throw it back to Joanne to close us out.
Thank you to our panelists for being with us today, and thank you for watching. A quick programming note, due to Purdue's spring break, we won't have a show next week. So we'll see you in 2 weeks here on Watching Washington. Have a great weekend.
The program allows students to finish their bachelor's degree and also get an online master's degree that overlap during their last year at Purdue.
Students can more quickly work towards a graduate degree while concurrently starting their professional careers.
The online program allows them to kind of go at their own pace, and so they're not having to abide by the academic calendar.
And our goal is that this would make you even more compelling for your next opportunity in the workforce.
Baseball in general is just a fun group of guys that we're looking to play baseball at the next level, and it's a fun way to have some people come together and play a game we like. The guys that are a nice fit to the team as well as good at baseball. So that's really a big piece of the puzzle to joining the team, and you can get a lot of information just reaching out.
What does it take to be a Purdue tour guide? You've got to know your history. You have to know your facts. You've got to have that Purdue spirit. And you have to walk backwards.
Hi there, my name is Vikram Jaithlak, and I'm the founder and president of the Purdue chapter of the University Blood Initiative. Over the past 2 years, we've been able to collect over 300 pints of blood to be donated to local hospitals, and you can be the next one to help out.
I donate my blood at the University Blood Initiative.
Hi, I just donated blood through the University Blood Initiative.
Hi, I just donated blood through the University Blood Initiative at Purdue.
Alright, I donated my blood through the University Blood Initiative at Purdue.
And I donated my blood at University Blood Initiative at Purdue.